Well, hello, everybody. All my YouTube friends out there. I haven't been live for maybe a week and a half or so. I have been away on vacation and I'm still here on vacation. And today happens to be a somewhat rainy, cloudy day. So I figured I would take a few minutes and do a little bit of retrospection work here. um, the one great thing about being on vacation is the opportunity to do introspection, right? To kind of sort of unwind, take a look at where things are and regroup a little bit. And so that has been a great thing that I've had the opportunity to do with regards to not just looking at my business, but also in general, like what direction am I heading in? So when we take these moments for R&R, it's rest and relaxation, but there's that third R, which is rejuvenation, which I think is super, super important. So anyway, I haven't really been attending too much to my work, but I have been thinking about what what comes next. So there's always that time where we have a little bit of a lull and we get to rev up, right, for what's going to come next. And I actually have a whole new membership program that I'm going to be rolling out. And it's really going to be geared to faith-based, Christian-based entrepreneurs who know that the world needs their work and they feel super called to come out into the mainstream and share their gifts and talents with the world. And so that's me. That's exactly where I'm at. And I know that it's really important to have both the calling and the capitalism mindset too, because if we're only out for a life of service and we're only here to share the gifts and the talents that we have, and we want to do it through sort of a volunteer on a volunteer basis, then to me that's socialism, and it just doesn't work. It falls apart as we see happening all around us. That people need to be invested in their own transformation. And in order to do that, there does need to be some skin in the game. And what that skin in the game looks like doesn't necessarily have to be high ticket, which is what where the world I've come from. So many of you know, by the way, my name is Janet Clark. If you're new to this channel and you just happen to be uh, catching this live stream, my background has been in high ticket sales, corporate sales before that. So 30 years in the corporate world, another 15 years as an entrepreneur in the high ticket coaching and sales space. And while I see that there was a time and a place for all of those things in my life, I'm in the legacy phase of my life now. Some people would call it the second act. Maybe it's the third act, somewhere along the line. But you know, if that's you, if you're someone who has had your professional career of some sort, you've been either in the business world, you've been working to get your food, clothing, and shelter, and get your kids educated and bring them up and get all those necessities of life. You understand that phase. And this phase that we're in now is the phase where we want our work and our life to be joined together. So it's all one big legacy. And it's all about giving ourselves or giving of ourselves and at the same time creating a vibrant livelihood. So many of you know that I have recently made a shift, and I call it the freedom shift, but it really is a shift away from the complexity of running a business and wearing all the hats in the business and being the CEO, the CFO, the CIO, the CMO, every CTO, right? There's all the C-suite executives that you have to become if you're running a business and you are the business owner. And at some point, you either are those things or you're hiring those titles. And in order to do that, that requires still a lot of work and complexity in your business because now you have all the personalities that you have to hire and run the business. So, what I want to talk about now is my perceived failure in failure. Let's call it failure to launch, right? There was a movie by that name for those of you who are old enough to remember that failure to launch. It was about the kids that never left the house. Some of you may be living in that right now. But anyway, what I perceive to be failure and what you may be perceiving to be failure right now in your own work and your own attempts to get your business off the ground or to scale your business to a new level. Like perhaps you've already gotten your business to 4 figures a month, 5 figures a month. You're running a 6-figure business, and you are trying to scale it, but you are at that point where you're overworked, you're overcommitted, you're overwhelmed, and maybe even overinvested. So, what now? How do you create a simple faith-based business that actually is you know, serves your calling and your purpose, but at the same time is making you money because we can't miss that part of it either, right? We live in a world that requires us to have financial wealth and prosperity. And so that has to be a big part of what we're doing. And so I have discovered a way to decouple the work that I do, the real calling, the work that I do for my ministry, because when we start talking about being mission driven and we start talking about having a calling and a purpose, it really is a ministry in a way. And so when I start thinking about that, I don't want to charge for that. I don't want people to have to pay for that part of what I'm doing. I want to show up here on YouTube. I want to show up in my Facebook group, which is called the Women's Impact Network WIN. I want to show up authentically, and I want to be able to run my membership program and not have to charge people a lot of money for the coaching that I can provide them and help them in both spirituality, health, and wealth, right? So I have my coaching and my teaching is a combination of all of those things that I can really help people with. So when I talk about failing, what I'm referring to in my case is that I was in a pretty good situation, say 1 year ago. I had multiple streams of income. And I had one in particular that was pretty significant. And I also have other things that are bringing me money. And so financially, there wasn't really a concern because I had a few people that I would contract with and pay. And so that was great. And I had plenty of cash flow coming through my business in order to do that. I really wasn't worried about it. But interestingly enough, one of those major sources of my income has seemed to have withered up and blown away. It just sort of disappeared into thin air. And there's a few reasons for it. Some are a result of the economy. Some may be as a result of just the shifts that are going on in the marketplace, which maybe are also because of the economy. But the bottom line is that it doesn't really matter why it happened. In a lot of ways, it was totally out of my control. I mean, in all ways, it was totally out of my control. And I don't think I saw it coming, but I'm not surprised that it happened. So there's this tendency when something like that happens, when, and this could be you if you have a job and all of a sudden you get laid off or fired. That's happened to me a couple of times in the business world. And it always comes as a, uh, you know, culture shock. It's a shock to the system when you've been invested, emotionally, mentally, in all ways into your work, and all of a sudden it's gone. And whether it's a job that went away, it's a client that you were working with that went away, it was a project you were working on that got defunded, it doesn't matter. When that happens, there's this sense of failure and this feeling of, oh my gosh, what now? And so this is what I really want to talk about, because although I show up here and I am highly positive and I'm building something new, and it's rocky, right? When you're building something new, it's rocky. So when I first started this aspect of what I'm doing right now, which is the membership part of it, it grew like a rocket ship. And again, there were outside factors that caused that to happen. It wasn't me. I just happened to say yes to an opportunity that was skyrocketing, and I was able to jump on the ship that was going to the moon, which was great. But then it tanked, right? And again, not through any fault of my own, but just because of circumstances that were in the out on the outside. So I had a lead source that was coming through an influencer who was a major influencer. That lead source all of a sudden dried up, and I was left with, oh, wow, this is something that is definitely lucrative. It's definitely helping and serving people. It's allowing me the freedom to do the work that I love to do. And I want to keep doing this. But I'm realizing that if it's going to happen, I am going to have to figure out a new way to make it happen. And that means generating leads on my own, which is part of why this YouTube channel is here. And so, what is a lead to me? Well, Jesus says, my sheep will hear my voice and they will come. And so for me, it's speaking the words that Jesus has taught us. It's sharing the gospel. It's sharing my faith. And it's calling in people who want to be part of a movement to bring God back into business, to bring God back into the world, into our daily lives, to put God first in our lives, to create something that's bigger than any one of us can create on our own. And so that's what the movement, the Freedom Shift movement, is all about. And so there's people who come, who hear the voice, who come in, but once they get here, it's not really sitting with them. It's not resonating with them. It's not really how they want to prioritize their life. And so they drop off. So I've got this steady stream of new people coming in, and some stay around and participate, and some say, I don't want to do that right now. It's kind of like church, right? Some people show up at the church and they come for a while and then they leave. It's like with anything. And so a movement takes time, it takes momentum, it takes getting the right people into the movement so that they can add their energy and their value so that the movement continues to grow and grow and grow. So I'm working on that. That's kind of my major priority. In the meantime, my other source that I was depending on of revenue and income totally dries up. So I'm faced with this. Well, now the funding for the mission is dependent on the mission being successful. And so I'm back to having to rely on faith. So that's really my message to you today. There's failure and that feeling of failure. And I say failure is not an option. Years ago when I was going to AA, I went through this 12-step process, which I absolutely loved. It was an amazing spiritual growth. And it allowed me to take something that was outside of me, which happened in my case to be wine, and to realize that wine was not the solution to whatever was ailing me at the moment, right? Whatever was making me feel like I was under stress. And that the thing that was going to solve that was going to be within me, my higher power, which was my connection to the divine. So anyway, I get tell a lot more stories about AA and happy to share them with anybody who is dealing with that feeling that alcohol has taken too big of a role in your life. But anyway, I digress a little bit. Something that I learned in AA, a saying that I love, and I learned a lot of really cool sayings when I was going through that program. But one of them was, don't quit until the miracle happens. And so what does that have to do with this? Well, here's the thing. When you're building something new, you absolutely have no idea what is ahead of you. Like you're on a road that you've got a vision, you know where you're going, but you don't know what you're going to encounter along the way from where you are now to get where you're trying to get with this goal that you have. And that maybe the goal in the place that you think you're going is even going to be greater and better and bigger and higher up than you even think. But the bottom line in all of this is that there's just going to be a lot of unknowns. Just like on any road trip, you could get a flat tire, there could be a fender bender, there could be a big storm. I mean, a lot can happen along the way, and it's going to happen along the way. That is not failure. So reframing failure has to be faith, the belief that what you're doing is important and it really matters and it is your calling. And if that is the thing that drives you, then you can reframe failure. So when I think of what I lost in terms of the income stream that I had that was super dependable and multi six figures, and it went away unexpectedly, when I look at that, I have to ask myself, like, did that have to go in order for me to bring in something new? Because that was taking energy from me. It was taking time on my calendar. It was taking energy in thought and follow up and consistency and anything that is important to us, even if it's a passive income stream, which this one was not. I mean, this one did require me to put in time and energy. But even if it is, it still requires some level of energy on your part. And maybe God knows better. Maybe God knows that that needs to go away in order for you to bring in that new thing that you're now working on. So, we talk about Jesus says, ask and it will be given to you, right? Knock and the door will be open to you. And that is true, but we don't know what that might look like. So I may ask for success in this calling, that this new ministry that I have, and I need to open space in order to make that happen. And God knows that the only way for me to have that extra space in my mind and in my energy and in my calendar is for this other thing to go away. But I wasn't ready personally to just let it go. So God just said, we're going to just make it go away, right? And then this new thing gets to come in. And does that mean I'm being punished, or does that mean that I'm failing, or that God's not pleased with me? And no, it just means I have to have faith that it was the right thing to happen. Because, every single success, and I think if you guys look back, you'll see it as well. Every single success that you've had in your life was a co creation with God. The part of it was you showing up and saying yes and doing the work. But there was also some other parts of things that happened those synchronicities that come along, right? That if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to take that next level and step. And how did that come along? Was it a total coincidence, or was that the work of God? So we have to be open to allowing these miracles to come into our life. So don't quit before the miracle happens. We've got to allow the miracle, and the miracle is going to be the unexpected thing. And maybe for me, the miracle was that the other thing went away. So I am working on reframing my mindset, because the thing that can get in the way when all of a sudden an income stream goes away is all of a sudden now there's some level of fear, right? Oh, I thought I was all set. Now I have to worry about where the money's going to come from to advance this mission that I'm on, because this source dried up. So should fear and worry be the thing that is coming into my life now? No, absolutely not. So anyway, I've hit my 20 minutes. I don't want to go over on these lives. I'm trying to keep them relatively short. That's my message for today. Please come and subscribe to the channel if you like what you hear, so that you'll know when I do go live. You'll get a notification. And check out the description. If you are a woman and you want to join the Women's Impact Network, please come over to Facebook and join me there. The link is in the description, and I will be back again. Make a reply here after you subscribe so that I'll know that you saw this and I can comment and connect with you. And reach out to me anytime. I am always available for a Zoom chat or a messenger chat, whatever. Anyway, blessings and love to all of you. Just remember, failure is not an option, and don't quit before the miracle happens. Bye for now.